Catus, Maximus here. Quick review of these Allied SwitchGrip flip pliers. These things are kind of weird. Now, before I disparage these kind of flimsy, cheesy, and overpriced pliers, they do have a couple of merits. One is somehow they've been for sale for like 10 years. I was over at Kroger's. They still got these on the shelf there. It was like $22 or $23. I just couldn't believe it. Looked online now, you got Crescent, Kobalt, all sorts of people trying to knock these off. As I said before, race to the bottom. No, these do not have the teal and yellow handles because they kept on slipping off, so I just pulled them off. They have these weird little plastic things on each end. Those fell off too. These do have merit if you have to travel on foot with tools, because these do combine needle nose pliers and standard pliers. They have a second set where they have flush cutters or end cutters, flush cutters, as well as the needle nose. They try to make it a combination where it's needle nose with a little larger gripping area, a couple of wire strippers. I don't know if that's a wire stripper or an attempt at a crimper. And these still do have wire cutters. The pliers end seems a little bit strange just because they have this weird little notch, and that's actually why I keep these. It's just because this little notch ends up being sometimes handy in a couple situations where you really need to reach into a pretty tight spot. Oddly enough, this little notch has done that. They actually have a reason for that. It's because the notch fits into these bolts here. If the notch didn't fit into these bolts, then it would end up making it so these needle nose end just wouldn't open up far enough. So it's essentially a relief. Really loose fit. They are wobbly. This is wobbly, although they are spring loaded. Kind of has like a, Collisionikov type of build where it's just really loose tolerances. So even though a lot of crud can get in there, it can easily get back out. Biggest issue I've had is doing some twisting operations with it. I've had these handles kind of deform a little bit, but I guess they're okay. They just should be something like $10 for somebody who has to hike around, maybe work on barbed wire fences or something like that. They would be a kind of a handy set of pliers. But the whole idea is it's multiple tools in one, just kind of like a crescent wrench is multiple tools in one. These specific to Allied Kobalts, they all kind of seem, what they are is they're tools that may be an idea that has some merit if it was, more attention was paid to its design, had better build quality, because these are just obscene, almost unnaturally light, mainly because of the sheet metal handles, and that's one of the biggest issues. And they could have just the build quality doesn't match up with the price, because the price is quite high, and you would think, well, gosh, for the $25, you can get all sorts of other options for pliers that will be a lot heavier duty. So the manufacturers get some kind of interesting idea, and then they just try to make it as cheap as possible to see how much money they can make. Or in the long run, if you actually make a little bit more quality of a tool, it builds up a better brand name, you make more money in the long run. So anyway, that was my little review, and actually seeing that these things hadn't gone by the wayside, but instead have actually started proliferating, I ought to make a dedicated video. I'm going to finish it up. I think the part of the deal with nice pliers is that they use cold-forged rivets. They're very heavy-duty rivets, and the way this whole sheet metal thing works has like a really thin kind of floating hinge pin, and that doesn't inspire a ton of confidence either. In short, I would pass on the flip grip pliers unless these type of, combination pliers could really be handy with you for you. I wouldn't buy the even more gimmicky ones. They have ones of these where they actually are like Swiss Army knives in each of the handles. My goodness. I'd get a real set of pliers. Or maybe you're looking for an overblown set of fuse pullers. And that was the example I was looking for, is reaching in between fuse blocks. These little tines can get in between the fuses, and you get a nice wide surface to pull them out. That's really what they're good for, is automotive fuse pliers. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing and commenting. And even noticing I've been having some Harbor Freight ads showing up on my channel. About time after all the hundreds of videos I made. Anyway, I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Until next time, Catus Maximus out.